Welcome back. Let's talk to somebody from the presidency who is the special assistant to the president on social media. He's the convener of the President Bola Tinubu Media Center. Mr. Olusegun Dada joins us from Abuja City. Mr. Dada, thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, congratulations on your conference, if you will, or is a convention now that you had. But let's look at some of the things that were done and said at that conference. We understand that the president did talk about advocating or admonishing these content creators or young people on social media to use their force for good. And the question will be, what exactly is he trying to say in terms of them advancing this, using their force for good to speak well of Nigeria, because they are divergent perspective of what the Nigerian state is according to different persons. So if the president is saying that, what does he want them to populate it with? Because are you also saying they should absorb themselves of the reality they feel? So make it clear since you are with the president.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, basically what Mr. President said at the Digital Media Summit was that we should use young people, old people, especially everyone online that uses social media, should use it as a force for positivity more than, pushing negativity. And Mr. President simply said this because if you look at the way that other countries around the world, other civilizations around the world portray their country, they have their challenges, they have their issues, but they do not make that the selling point of their nation. As a country and as a people, we have a lot of amazing things. Like I was listening to the last speaker in the Lagos studio, and he said something about Nigeria being one of the greatest countries to live in. I feel exactly the same way about this country. And I feel that we are not sometimes unfair. We are not sometimes fair in our criticism of the nation, especially when it comes to doing it from the point of view of political bias or while free speech is important, we must also consider that whatever it is that we do or say, especially about our country online, goes a long way in shaping the perspective of those who see this nation as, who do not know Nigeria and are getting their information from the social media. So Mr. President has stated clearly that we identify that social media is a very crucial tool for nation building, for cohesion, for seeking accountability, but at the same time, it has to be a tool for promoting our cultural values, promoting the things that hold us together, that bond us together as a nation, not pull us apart. So that's what Mr. President was trying to say at the summit, that the platforms should be used, not just for calling out government, not just for demanding accountability, but also for projecting the prosperity and positivity that this nation is currently undergoing.
But Mr. Dada, perhaps there's a disconnect between the young people and the Tinubu government, particularly those who are active content creators on social media, and the approach of the government to dealing with it begs the question. In 2024 alone, about 751 individuals were arrested, some of them unduly under the Cybercrime Act. And we can, mention a number of our own colleagues in the media, particularly those who are online practicing investigative journalism, who were unduly arrested for their own work. So the question is, how is the government intervening, to sort of eliminate the disconnect, and of course to also, in line with the ECOWAS directive, amend the Cybercrime Act such that it is, duly applied?
Okay, so to a great extent, this administration is a big supporter of the rights of journalists and journalism and their ability to do their job. However, there are several cases where people are deliberately misinformed, deliberately disinformed, deliberately model up the facts of issues. And to a great extent, the cybercrime law, which came into effect a couple of years ago, a lot of Nigerians, a lot of young Nigerians still do not understand the limitations that come with. Yes, we have a right to free speech, but there are limitations as to where your right to free speech starts and the privacy of a private individual, or slandering of governments and the nation stops. I myself and this administration, I believe to a great extent, we do not believe in crackdown on journalists. However, the law is the law. If anyone has found to have fallen short of the law, the law enforcement agencies are well within their rights to try and ensure and enforce, the criminal laws as stated. But what we have done as an administration is to ensure that we put out the proper guidance as to how young Nigerians, irrespective of political affiliations, can steer positively on the side of the cybercrime law, and ensure that we do not fall victim to it. One of the panel sessions at the summit, centered around how young Nigerians can avoid, getting into trouble in the process of trying to, give put out their opinions. And all of this is towards ensuring that we do not, in the process of free speech, burn the country to the ground. We saw what happened, during the NSAS protest that turned violent, especially in Lagos. We had people who were using social media, who were using the radios to lie, to put out all sorts of destructive statements, which led into loss of life and property, especially for the Lagos state government. So it's crucial that while we have the ability to express our opinion, we must also put into consideration that there are laws which guide us. So at the end of the day, we need to ensure as digital communicators that we are well guided and we are doing what we are doing for the interest of our nation, and not just to subscribe to the outrage industrial complex, which has permeated not just in the social media, but even to the mainstream media. We have to ensure that we are focusing on the issues that matter. We're focusing on the issues of accountability that matter to the country, to the people, and not just for sensationalism, not just for clicks and likes, not just for views, but for the betterment of our nation.
Well, it was quite a conversation that was had during that summit. I think 2 days the summit held for. Yes. And for a lot of people, they saw it as the coming together of the president's, what I call it, generals now, social media generals, both past, present, the ones, I think you've been with this movement since 2013, with your writings and all of that. So a lot of people saw it as the marshalling of the firepower of the president ahead of the 2027 election, particularly because when the president came up and the song "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand," when the song finished, the president said, "And I will keep the mandate." So a lot of people saw that, okay, this is geared towards 2027. But at this point, you have a lot of people to contend with. There's the obedience that you have to contend with, that you contend with on a daily basis online. There is now the coalition, right, which is a merger of, the different, so it's basically a lot to contend with. But there's a big challenge. While that back and forth is happening online,
And that challenge is the fact that we've seen a lot of people using ethnicity, religion to perpetrate bigotry and all sorts of ills. So what is a guiding principle for progressives online when engaging either on political issues or governance issues to ensure that that tool of social media is not used for evil, which is what the president was advocating for?
Okay, first let me quickly correct that notion. Yes, to a great extent, a large percentage of those who attended that event were progressives, progressives. But we also had a lot of non-partisan individuals who came to offer their knowledge, expertise on certain issues. We had, people like Godre of the publisher of Nairametrics, who came and spoke on crucial issues affecting the economy, how to use social media. So basically, it wasn't just a gathering of the president's social media generals. It was more or less a gathering of young Nigerians who are using their content, their platform to push for progressive ideals, and principles that would portray our country in the positive image. Now, you said the question about the obedience camp and the coalition. Without sounding a little bit of a braggadocio, we actually have contended with these people before, and the results speak for themselves. For the first time in the history of this country, in 2015, we, as a political party, were able to use our digital strategy as part of an overall strategy to win the incumbent in office. And not only that, we were able to ensure that we elected a president that people initially said was inelectable. We elected him, and we have continued on that trajectory in the run-up to the 2023 elections. We were able to sell and push our candidates in spite of the noise, in spite of the lies, in spite of the distractions. So it's not as if we have not been dealing with these individuals before. Some of them have just changed their cloaks. They are no longer, maybe in the obedience movement, are now in the coalition, but all the same, they are all the same people. And we have contended, we have beaten them 3 times. I will continue to beat them again if it comes into, a showdown for the elections. Because at the end of the day, we stick to the hard facts, and we admit where we have made some, certain errors that we feel require a couple of tweaks here and there. And our movement as progressives is not a lean to self-criticism. Most of these other movements that you have spoken about do not accept internal criticism. They victimize those who attempt to even, just try and criticize some of the things that, the movements, these movements are doing. We, on the other hand, we take in the criticism, we take in the feedback, because these feedbacks are important for us to be able to ensure that we pass on, we escalate to Mr. President and the appropriate authorities, so as to ensure that we do not have a continuous back and forth on things that are crucial to the Nigerian people. So be rest assured, we have handled them before. We have handled them not just in the presidential elections, in several gubernatorial races. I have been privileged in my time as a member of the All Progressives Congress to have participated in over 40 gubernatorial races across the country. And to a great extent, we have always trounced, these individuals. So they are not bringing anything new to the table. Their strategy has always been to attack. Our strategy has been to clarify, not be distracted from the issues, cut through the noise to be able to sell our candidates, cut through the noise to be able to sell our policies as a government, as an administration, as a ruling party.
That may not necessarily be true. If I get my colleague's question correctly, He's asking for the modus operandi or the approach of progressives online to engaging with others, particularly your opponents who are online, the obedience. And, you know, their rhetoric is just as demeaning as that of the other groups. So, and this falls, I believe, within your purview. We hear, you know, commentaries such as obediots in reference to the others, very low, you know, demeaning names that are used by some progressives to engage with the obedience. So what's your intervention in that regard, such that it can reduce demeaning rhetoric or eliminate it totally ahead of the 2027 general elections, which many believe is going to be even more keenly contested, particularly because of the individuals who are throwing their hats into the ring?
Okay, so one of the major things we did at the summit was to take a critical look at the way and manner at which our people respond online. Now, I cannot take responsibility for what every single person, you know, says, especially that is on the progressive side, says, or their opinion. I do not police the opinion of our people. But we have admonished that rather than get into ad hominems, rather than get into verbal attacks with the opposition, we should always stick to presenting the facts, presenting superior arguments, because our party actually is a party of superior arguments, and we do not believe that going into the gutter or name calling is going to change anything. Because the truth of the matter is that whether you are an obedient, or you are an articulate, or you are a coalition person, or you are a Baptist, or you are a Buharist, we are all Nigerians. And we all have a right to air our opinions without offending the sensibilities of others. So what we have been able to preach, what this summit, one of the takeaways from the summit was that we need to change the way we engage. We need to change the way we communicate, because sometimes you're trying to communicate very important aspects of achievement of this administration, and you see somebody try to derail the conversation, and definitely, you know, it can get a little bit infuriating sometimes. But the encouragement that we have continued to make is that do not allow yourself to be distracted. Let us cut through the noise, cut through the, like we did during the campaign, cut through the noise, focus on the major hard-hitting facts that would form an opinion of superior argument. But unfortunately, you see a situation where even while certain people are trying to, you know, stay on message, stay on the message, you see a lot of gang up by you know, the other side, you know, trying to derail the conversation, and to a great extent, these things have real life consequences. Because I'll give you an instance. When the student loan program started, we promoted it to a very large extent, and in the promotion of the student loan program, which is a very, very important and one of the most redefining programs that any administration in this country has ever made. 369,000, as I speak to you right now, 369,000 young Nigerians are beneficiaries of this particular program. But when it started, we saw a situation where certain people in the opposition started, you know, pushing the narrative that it's a lie, the student loan program is a scam, do not register, and all of that. So we took a lot of pain, it took a lot of effort, but we were able to cut through the noise, stay on message, help young Nigerians understand that irrespective of your political beliefs, irrespective of where you come from, it is important to know that any program that is going to benefit the young Nigerian, a Nigerian, whether young or old, it doesn't matter what their party affiliation is. And we saw the numbers shut up. The numbers went up.
If you can hear me, my apologies. I think you've made very important points. I think we can all agree to the part of we have one nation, even though we have a disagreement. But I may be surprised that you're surprised that you're doing things and people will come after you. When you were in the opposition, that's exactly what you did. That is why it is called opposition. How lethal or how sensible or insensible it is, that's a different conversation altogether. So that question begs whether you're being honest or not. Because now you're in power, you're trying to aggregate people to come to that consensus of national unity is understood. But even within your own ranks, there are people, even at the highest level, retweeting things, carried ethnic bigotry even in the last election. We raised some of those questions. They said, oh, let's not be defined by those moments. Now it's a bit civil because elections are not close by. When it gets to that point, I would like you to come back and let's see whether that civility still holds sway. That is the truth. It's on all sides, whether the people that are supporting the president, people that are supporting Obi and Atiku, everybody just goes, permit my word, crazy at some point in being critical of each other. So there's no saint here. But since you're the one on the table, so let's talk about you, how you intend to keep the focus as much as it is and not derail in that sense. Because now things are a bit calm, the heat is not on, it's just building up in that sense. So within your ranks, are we going to see a situation now where there will be little or no retweets of things that are antagonistic to other people? Let's begin from those levels of housekeeping. There will be little or no retweet of stoking ethnic bigotry or sensibilities, either gross supporters of the president or literally from the presidency. Is that something you're doing in terms of an in-house checks as far as this summit is concerned?
You see, like I said, one of the purposes of the summit is for us to reorientate ourselves on how we communicate, how we put out our arguments. I'm not going to justify anything or for anyone, but for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And to a great extent, it is very difficult to say you want to police the thoughts of every single individual, especially those who are supporters of the president, as to what they are posting online and what they are not. What we can continue to do is to admonish. Part of the things we have decided is that we want to localize the summits that we have done. We will be going to several states, regions, to have, more in-depth conversations on how we communicate going forward, on how we push and pass our messages going forward. And while we were in the opposition, I would admit, yes, the opposition has a right, to, always, the job of the opposition is to, go against the government and, call out some of the cracks and loopholes that are there in the government. But we were not a destructive opposition. Our opposition to the government of the day was not as though the country should burn down because we were not the ones running it. So it's not the same thing at all. But to put a fine point on it, we are making this summit not just a central Abuja thing. We are making it, to several regions, several states, to discuss these crucial matters. And we believe and we hope that, other parties are doing the same. We can all, ensure that we have a more civil online political discourse if the way our party and the way our government has taken it upon themselves to ensure that there's a reorientation in the way that we communicate and address ourselves online. And if the coalition, the obedience movement, the PDP, every other one of them can have this retrospection, we can see a more sane political atmosphere online as we head into 2027 and beyond. And for us, it's not even just about elections alone. It is important that beyond elections, we need to be able to continue to have a country that we can call home, because there's no place like home. There's nowhere you want to, travel to, no matter how beautiful or exotic the place is. Nigeria would always be our first home. And my appeal, to many of our young people is, while you have your rights. I mean, I get insulted all the time on social media. I do not have a problem with it. I see it as part of my job. But I do not think that it should become a part and parcel of our identity. Right. It should be a part and parcel of who we are. We are much more better than this. And I believe that if the other political parties are able to take a leaf from what we have done and have a conversation with their supporters, like the former candidate of presidential candidate of the Labour Party, can have a conversation with the obedient to tone him down a little bit on the bigotry, the same way we are doing with our summit. It will go a long way in ensuring that we are able to actually present to the Nigerian people, when the time comes, the crucial points we want to make to our country, not insults, bitterness, ethnic bigotry, and all of that.
Well, Mr.
On the presidency side, we will not, and we have never endorsed ethnic bigotry, and we will continue to push and ensure, educate our people to stay clear from such kind of thinking. Thank you.
And it's great to hear that. So we expect that others will also speak to their supporters and the rest, because we want as much as possible to have a peaceful election build-up. Again, I know you were active during the Occupy Nigeria protests. You were very active, and we recall recently former governor of Ekiti State saying that all that period it was just politics being played out. So some will say the opposition we're seeing right now learned from what you did then. But I want to get personal as we wind down on this conversation, which I think has been really productive. Some say that things make sense not when you look forward, but when you look back. So I want to show you a video from 2022, and then I'll come to ask you this question. So this is a video of you, Mr. Dada Olusegun, from 2022. Let's watch it.
Dada Olusegun, I hereby withdraw from nomination for the office of National Youth Leader of our great party. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The great youth of the great.
That was from 2022. I'm glad you're laughing now, because then it was very emotional. You felt cheated. You felt like, come on, why did you do this to me? I have put in so much. But are you grateful for that moment right now, looking back? How do you feel?
For me, it was always about service of our motherland, whether at the party level or at the government level. As much as we put a lot of effort in that campaign, the party was supreme. And I took the decision I took because I believed that it was in the best interest of our great party. It was very emotional because we had a lot of young people who put in a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. But today, I'm grateful because one of the greatest things that happened to me that night was that I got a call from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he made me understand that he saw everything I have done, and he wants me to serve in a capacity that is even much more important to the critical parts that we were going to take. And I want to say, use this opportunity to say that I'm grateful to Mr. President for giving, and our great party for giving me the opportunity to serve our nation at this level under his political tutelage. I'm grateful for growth. I'm grateful for the fact that my brother and friend who eventually emerged as national youth leader, we have worked together on so many projects, including this recently concluded Progressive Media Summit. So to a great extent, everything has come together to work for good. No matter what we wish or we hope, God has other plans. Destiny has other plans for us. And that's basically what transpired. And I'm really grateful to God. I think that video you showed, I've watched it over and over and over, and sometimes I still watch it over and over because I feel like, to a great extent, it was one of the crucial times that made me, as a young man, understand that politics is not emotional. Politics is not a morality sport. It is about what is good, the current interest of our great party, how it places us. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you very much for bringing that back on this. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
All right, Olusegun Dada, I'm personally happy that you're a young person in politics. We need a lot of young people to be in all of the political parties. I'm also happy that you've made commitments in your rhetoric, in your statement today, which we're going to hold you accountable for. As I said, the heat is not on. These are just preliminaries. These are just what we call political hot air. Everybody's blowing hot, feeling like that a lot of the manner, when the jungle matures, as they say it on the streets, we'll get to know whether this conference, of course, is political, but there's other part of it too. Those commitments you've made, whether they really hold true, then we will know. But for now, we thank you for coming. We appreciate you. And
thank you for having me.
Olusegun Dada is the Special Assistant to the President on Social Media, the convener of the Bola Tinubu Media Center. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.